Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited that you are here. Today's video is actually going to be a little bit different as I haven't done one of these types of videos, but I'm going to be doing a reaction video. I'm sure you can tell by the title, I am going to be reacting to Claudia Sulewski. And Claudia, if you ever watch this, I am so sorry if I butchered your name. But I have been watching her for years. I think she is just a gorgeous girl. I love her vlogs. I've always thought her editing style and like the way she just portrays herself is amazing. So when I saw that she had a video on why she removed the IUD horror story, I wanted to blind react to it and kind of film my reaction to it. So here we are. So like I said, I still have not seen her video. I'm reacting to this blindly. I watched, because it's like a vlog style video, so I watched the first 5 minutes, and as soon as she started talking about the IUD, I paused it and then brought out my camera and started filming. Before we get started, in case you don't know me, I am Dr. Allie. I'm an OBGYN, and here in my YouTube channel, I cover all topics from periods, birth control, pregnancy, and literally everything in between. And apparently now I'm doing reaction videos. I absolutely love it if you guys would hit that subscribe button and become part of this family so that we can keep talking about these topics. All right, so let's just jump right into it. I have my iPad in front of me. I'm just gonna hit play. It starts around the 5-minute mark. I will link her full video down below.
I've been saving this question and topic for the right time, just to like fully dive into it and talk about my personal experiences. At least once a day, I get a question from one of you about birth control. In the past, I've mentioned that I've been on like birth control pills. I've also had the IUD. A lot of you guys were curious about it. Those of you who are considering getting some sort of contraceptive, I think it's really important to protect and take care of ourselves and our bodies and just protect our yeah, it's important to be in control of your own future, and I think it's important to find the right thing for you. I want to make a disclaimer that I'm only speaking on my personal experiences, what I liked, what I don't like, what I'm on right now. Everyone's body reacts differently, everyone's periods are different, and also your reasoning for it can be different too. I had so many friends that went on birth control pills back in high school to clear the...
I love that the way she started this video is just showing how important it is to talk about these things. I love how she's saying that people actually send her DMs asking her what birth control she's on. We all have the same questions. We all kind of, you know, we lean on our friends, our sisters, or mom, or cousin, or whoever, just for like advice. We'll look up to her, and she's having these conversations that a lot of other YouTubers or a lot of other celebrities or whoever, like, they're not talking about it. So I'm glad she's using her platform to at least address these issues. That's obviously what I'm about, so I love it.
My first experience with birth control was taking the pill back in 2014.
Most people's
18 years old,
first experience is with the pill.
That first round of taking the pill, I think it lasted maybe like a full year or 2 years, I would say. Honestly, I loved it. I don't know what amount I was taking in terms of hormones. I know that it was low estrogen Fae. It's the same one that I'm taking right now. I don't know about the dosage, but I actually... Disclaimer,
so like the low estrogen Fae, which is funny, I don't think I've ever heard anyone pronounce it that way, but it's the low estrogen Fe, which is has iron in it. So Fe is iron.
Loved it because it made my boobs bigger. I often talk about those boobs that I had because I didn't get them this time, and that's okay. The thing to be aware with birth control pills is that they can also affect your mood. They can affect your body, obviously.
Talking about her breasts getting bigger, birth control pills that are combination, which means they have estrogen and progesterone. Our breast tissue actually has receptors to both estrogen and progesterone. So one of the side effects of being on birth control pill can be sore breasts or like breast tenderness. Even when we're like going through our menstrual cycle, I'm sure you all have experienced a little bit of tenderness with your breasts and notice that your breasts get a little bit bigger. It's kind of what happens when you're on pills as well.
clearing of acne or weight fluctuation. So they're all factors to take into account, and it also depends on the dosage, right? There was a period in between two relationships where I was single for a while, and I felt like I was being smart enough that I didn't need to be on birth control anymore. Then I tried out the IUD, and I get a lot of questions on that because it is kind of a crazy concept and people either love it or hate it.
I agree that the IUD is a crazy concept. Like, it is amazing medicine, but yeah, I would agree it's like a little apparatus that just sits in your uterus and it like works amazingly. But it's crazy. Medicine is crazy.
I had the Mirena IUD, which is plastic, and it releases a very small amount of hormones. I believe less than like one pill, so it's a very small amount, and it definitely did not give me the boobs, it did not give me the moods, it did not give me any of the fluctuation, nothing. Another type of IUD.
That's the big difference between the IUD and the pills. The pills are more systemic, meaning that it goes everywhere in your body. Not that the IUD hormone doesn't go everywhere in your body, but it's a smaller dose that's secreted over longer periods of time, because the Mirena IUD is good for 5 years. That's what she's kind of referring to, not getting those side effects from it. Also, the Mirena IUD is progesterone-like hormone only, so there's no estrogen in it.
Is the Paragard, which is made, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, it's made out of copper.
Copper
and
IUD.
Can stay in your body for up to 10 years. The Mirena, only 5 years. There are pros and cons to both, right? Like the Paragard doesn't have hormones. So for someone who's worried about that, you're good and golden. But Paragards are also known.
I love that she's talking about this.
Like heavier and longer. I've had friends that have experienced that and had it taken out because it was just too much to handle. And the Mirena is actually
brings up a good point that I covered in my other video where I talked about the different forms of IUDs, like hormone versus non-hormone. The Paragard IUD or the copper IUD in a woman who already has heavy menstrual periods can actually make that bleeding heavier. It's one of the main reasons they get the IUD removed.
Known for making your periods lighter, if not non-existent. And
yeah, the Mirena is the opposite.
Experience. So I got the Mirena, I forgot what year, but I had it for a total of like 3.5 years, maybe 4. Getting the IUD inserted, we're really going in. The inserting process was painful but short. Your doctor has to measure your uterus. So first they take a contraption that sort of works as a ruler and they measure your uterus. So they have to hit like the top of it. That was intense.
So again, I do have a video where I go over insertion of the IUD, but yes, essentially there is a device, a uterine sound, where we can feed it through your cervix and measure the length of your uterus. Like she said, it's uncomfortable to get them placed, but it's fairly quick and short process, and it's like cramping pain as we're doing the measuring and as the IUD goes in.
And that felt like it all kind of feels like a cramp. You don't really know what's going on down there. You know, they just shove it right in there. And I remember my personal experience. I drove myself home, which I don't even know if that is recommended, but that is what I did.
As long as you're not taking like a narcotic or a very strong pain pill like afterward, which most women don't, you can most certainly drive yourself to the appointment and drive yourself back home. If you're nervous about it or you have like anxiety, anything like that, bring someone with you in case you feel like you can't drive yourself home afterward.
And the reason why I say that was probably not a good idea is because I fainted. While she was measuring, I was like screaming profanities. My gyno was like, do you want to take a second? Do you want to take a breath? And I was like, no, go in there, get it done, let's be over with it. And then all of a sudden I woke up and everything sounded differently, like voices were distorted. I passed out for 7 seconds. I also have this weird thing about my body with like foreign objects.
Sounds like she probably had is a vasovagal response or like a vasovagal syncope. This is mainly driven by, and people have different triggers to this, but if you get very anxious or worked up, it's your nervous system pretty much slowing down your heart rate so that your blood pressure gets really low, your vessels dilate, and then you just don't get enough blood to your brain and you lose consciousness for a couple seconds. You might hear like ringing in your ears, sweating, and then you kind of slowly come back. can happen in the placement of the IUD. It happens to people when they have to get blood draws or if they're donating blood. It's the same kind of mechanism. It doesn't happen to everyone. Like she was saying, this was her experience.
Going up into my vagina. Like, if you guys really want to know the entire story, go to my podcast episode with Phineas called We Bought a House, and the episode title is The Tampon That Went to the Grammys. I talk all about my weird fainting thing. One time I thought there was a tampon stuck in my body and I was like trying to grab it, and it made the whole experience made me faint in the shower. Like, I don't know what it is, but
So it sounds like she probably has this. Like I said, some people have triggers to vasovagal syncope. Sounds like this is not the first time this has happened to her.
That's what caused the IUD incident. Anyways, so we get it in there, and for the first 3, dare I say 4 months, I bled every single day, and I knew going into it that that would happen because it's sort of like your body adjusting to this foreign object. I bled every day. It sucked, yes it did, but then no more period, and I never got pregnant, pretty much.
Definitely, again, her personal experience, but yes, that can happen, that you can have bleeding every day. You can have maybe light spotting. So for some women, this lasts a week. For other women, it lasts 3 to 4 months. Everyone's going to react differently to it. So it would be hard for me to say how you're gonna react to it. In most cases like hers, after that like bleeding stops, your periods tend to get extremely light, or they just go away.
Up until that point, my experience with the IUD was wonderful. We were in full swing. The years were going by, the months were going by. It didn't affect, like I said, my mood or anything like that. You can't feel it. You know, it's teeny tiny, it's up in there. Yeah, I basically just like got rid of my period, right? So here's where the drama comes in. Horror story. Cue the title. I don't know when this started, but this was all last year. Last year, I experienced what I believe to be 4 ruptured cysts. I don't know why I am suddenly prone to them. I remember the first time it happening, obviously had no idea what it was. It always happened in the middle of the night when no one is answering their phone calls. And if anyone has ever experienced a cyst rupture, like a cyst on your ovary, I should have said that. It's an ovarian cyst. It's something that can happen in the process of ovulation when like the egg is trying to break through, or it can just...
Cysts can form on the ovaries. Cysts do form on the ovary every single month when we ovulate. A small cyst will form on the ovary. It bursts open so that the egg can come out. It's caught by the fallopian tube. So having small cysts on your ovaries when we ovulate, this is normal, and that happens. There's different kinds of cysts that can form on your ovaries. It's not necessarily from ovulation. Those can grow to be bigger, and if they rupture, they can be painful.
Like a sack of blood or buildup or something just on your ovary, and like it can literally be the size of a pecan and rupture and feel like murder. Like it felt like a knife was just being stabbed in my gut and twisted. I'm so sorry. Just like lying in agony. It felt like waves of pain of someone just like I said, piercing a knife. And then eventually it went, I was like, shh.
Are a type of cyst called a hemorrhagic cyst that can form. And instead of it being like just clear fluid inside of the cyst, it's actually blood that pools inside of the cyst. And when those rupture, any sort of loose blood in your pelvis or in your abdomen, it is going to irritate the crap out of everything. The cyst bursts, that blood gets everywhere. It gets on the fallopian tube, on the uterus, on your intestines, on your peritoneum, which is that lining that covers your abdomen. Blood like that, it just causes irritation and it causes pain.
Shivering too. Oh my god, the first time was just so scary and sad because I was alone. It went away, I fell back asleep. The next morning I called my gyno, they brought me in and we used an ultrasound and we could actually see the cyst. So that night it didn't rupture, but we clearly could see that it was there. So it can either rupture if it gets really big, or it can just kind of like heal itself and go away, or if it's too big, you can also get them surgically removed. They're like the size of like, I don't even know how big they can get. I've heard that they can get as big as a lemon, but I'm not trying to spill any rumors or lies here about ovarian cysts.
So cysts can actually get much larger than a lemon. There are different types of cysts. I've seen them be 40 centimeters big, which is huge. 10 centimeters, 8 centimeters. If they get bigger than about 5 to 7 centimeters, that can start to cause problems and lead to ovarian torsion, which is a medical emergency. This is a whole nother video. We can talk about cysts. Ovarian cysts can get really big and can be very painful if they rupture.
I'm trying to make light of the subject. Is this working? I don't know. It happens again, and then we go back in and nothing is shown on the ultrasound, so she suspects that it was ruptured. And then the third time it happened was terrible. Phineas was actually performing on like Jimmy Kimmel, I believe, and it happened while we were in the green room, and I was on the couch screaming, crying, and just feeling so bad that like any concern or intention was on me. It was very uncomfortable. And then I remember like having to take off my shoes, and I was getting walked to the car because I had to go home early, and I like collapsed in the parking lot and like couldn't climb into my car. 1000% the worst pain of my life. So at this point, and then it happened another time. So like 4 times in 1 year, which is a lot.
It is a lot. I agree.
The IUD had nothing to do with these traumatic experiences. My gyno was like, this is what it is. But because of those experiences, it made me rethink.
She does bring a good point that her gynecologist also seemed to review with her. Typically, these cysts forming like this is not a side effect of the IUD. So the IUD, again, remember, is inside of the uterus. It doesn't even touch your ovary is far away from it.
The situation that I was in, and she said, well, we can test this by putting you on the pill. We'll do the lowest dosage so that it's not much. Let's keep the IUD in because I know the IUD has nothing to do with this. Let's put you on the pill and see if it ever comes back. So this time last year, I still had the IUD in my body and I went on the pill.
So the reasoning behind doing the IUD and then adding pills on top of that, so the IUD, and I mentioned this in my previous video, does not inhibit ovulation. So you still form those cysts every month to ovulate and spit out that egg. The birth control pills, they stop ovulation from happening. So you're not getting cysts on your ovary. The thought process is you have your IUD in place, it's working great. And then by taking birth controls on top of that, you prevent your ovaries from forming those cysts.
I have not experienced anything similar to what I had last year. So for 2 months, I had the IUD in my body, and I was also on 10 milligrams of birth control. And that's when I decided, okay, I am responsible enough to take this pill every single day at the same time. I was fine with the decision to just get off of the IUD and just continue with the pill, because pretty much at this point I just do not want to experience what I had to last year, and if the pill is going to prevent that, then please sign me up. I would like to continue taking birth control pills.
So she brings out a good point, right? Not all birth control is like one size fits all. Sometimes you have to find what works best for you, and in her case, she was prone to developing these cysts. So maybe birth control pills was a better option for her. The pills were suppressing her ability to make those cysts on her ovaries. Therefore, she didn't have to have those painful episodes again of ruptured cysts. That being said, the birth control pills also work to prevent pregnancy. So her logic is, why do I also need the IUD if I'm just, you know, mature enough, old enough to remember to take a pill every single day? You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, or is that the saying? Is that how it goes? You know what I mean.
That is what I'm on right now, and that is sort of like my horror story with ovarian cysts and sort of my history on IUD. I think for anyone considering either options, there's also like the one that goes in your arm. There's so
the next one on goes in your arm.
If my uterus was drama-free last year, I would probably still have the IUD, and I would probably be scheduled to get a new one in because it lasts like 5 years. But because of what happened last year, I went back on the pill, and apart from that, I was like the biggest advocate for IUD. It so depends on what you're comfortable with, and just being consistent if you're on the pill.
This is what ended up working out for her. I do really appreciate the fact that she did say that the IUD does not cause the cysts, just like her gynecologist had reviewed with her. She was prone to developing these cysts.
But you gotta make sure that you're taking it at the same time, and especially for me, I'm taking such a low dosage. Because it's such a low dosage, I don't feel any mood swings or anything. My period hasn't changed. If anything, it kind of feels heavier, but I've also just like not had a period for so long that maybe my body timeline was
That's
just
a good
like,
point.
here's where we've been, but we haven't been able to show you because of the IUD. I think that just about answers all of your questions on my experience with birth control. I can't say this enough. Please just speak with a professional and find what works best for you. But most importantly, like, let's have the conversation. I'm happy to start around here. That is the least I can do, and also all that I'm qualified to do.
I love her for this. We need to have these conversations. Like, that was my whole driving force for starting this channel, for starting my TikTok account, for starting Instagram, is just to stop the stigma, stop being the shameful, we can't talk about this, like blah, blah, blah. That narrative is done, it's canceled. We're canceling that because it's horrible, it needs to be canceled. I love her. I love that she's having these conversations. She has over 2 million followers, so the audience that she's reaching to make it okay, make it comfortable and welcoming to talk about all of this, I love it. Guys, that brings us to the end of the video. I know this was a different format. I would appreciate any and all feedback and criticism, because ultimately I want to film content that you guys are enjoying and that you guys find helpful and educational. If you guys enjoyed it, I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can follow me on all forms of social media. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and I have a blog post where I share all this information in both Spanish and English. I will leave everything linked down below. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing week. Remember to always be kind and show love to everyone around you. Bye.